Hey guys, welcome to the video. I think I'm going to give you a good rundown of the 2026 National in Chicago, and stick around to the end and I'll show you my pickups. I think you'll like them. Let's go. It was 2026 the National in Chicago. I did get the VIP package this year. It's my first time trying it out. Came in on a Wednesday, got passes, went in for the early entrance a little bit just to check it out. It was a big show this year. There were a lot of people here. I don't know the totals as of this video, but I can tell you there were a lot of people. It was once again at the Stevens venue in Chicago. I like the venue. It's big. It's spaced out. It's actually pretty cool. It's weird though. Part of the convention was pretty cool, and then there was part that was warm. So like right here, you're just walking in. This is the very beginning, and then even coming out and seeing who was getting ready to come in from the daily access, it was already lining up. The lines were going out the door, so it was lined up that far. It was a lot of people, and it just kept coming and coming. And the hobby's big now, and it was huge. People were going everywhere and doing anything. So it was a lot of interesting, just crowd based. Yeah. So, as you enter in, I will tell you this, I was impressed with the setup. It's kind of similar setup as always, but I did enjoy the wide aisles. You were able to really get through and see. Now, I will tell you once, right now you're seeing this is early entry, which if I got a VIP pass just for the early entry, vintage was big. Sorry, there's a lot of vintage, which is great. But the VIP will really give you that hour before everybody gets in. And it's wonderful. It really is. It sounds weird. It's almost like going to Disney and getting in early park when you're staying at the resorts or something. A lot of vintage. Like I said, once again, it was really nice. I'm amazed at some of these collections that these gentlemen and ladies have with vintage. It boggles my mind how much they have, and it's great. But they're the rows go on forever. So you'll see that as you notice, it just kept going and going. For the most part, dealers were awesome. They were really great people. Loved sitting there and talking to them, especially early entry when you could actually talk to them. Now, you'll see some video later where it was crowded, and it was starting to get really crowded when general admission came in. And towards the middle, you'll see we're getting up here after we get past a lot of these dealers. Kind of in the center of the whole area was where the corporate sponsors were. So that was interesting. But these guys were lined up. They're friendly, super knowledgeable, just super good people, and really enjoyed talking to them. They worked with you. Now, I know a lot of people saying the prices were high, and there were a lot of cards that were. And of course, there were a lot of gentlemen probably with astronomical prices on their cards just to show you that, hey, this is what I got. I know you're not going to sell it. Yeah, and some of the corporate sponsors here had some really cool displays. You see the jerseys here, Pippen, Rodman, the Lakers, probably LeBron, all the good, great Lakers. But it was just really cool to see a lot of this stuff that, obviously you don't get to see on a normal basis, some hockey jerseys. I see Ovechkin down there, but that was just really cool to see those kind of things and just be able to check it out. Now, of course, you got the more of the corporate sponsorships. You've got eBay, obviously, was there. eBay's always huge. I will tell you, too, a lot of these corporate sponsors were giving a lot of handouts, a lot of uh, free T-shirts, free keychains, just trying to get you to sign up on their app. And which was funny because, honestly, the Wi-Fi was not the greatest. So, and neither was the cell signal, at least for me. And that was the funny part. A lot of wax. You had your three or four big dealers. Blowout cards, Dave and Adams, and a couple other ones who had all the old wax, which is really neat to see these boxes from the 70s and 80s and even 60s. I was really, really impressed with the upper deck layout. I'm a hockey guy. I do baseball, but I also love hockey. I grew up loving hockey. But they had a really nice setup just to show you a lot of the players and everything like that. It was really enjoyable. Steel City Collectibles was another one that had the wax there. I did buy some wax, but it was my purchase at the end of the day to rip when I got home. But Upper Deck did a great job. I just love the layout. They had all the jerseys from the number one picks from the different teams. Not all of them, but a few. My hometown team there, St. Louis. I had to take a quick picture of that. But it's just, it was really neat. And just the history of hockey and the cards. They had some of the first round draft picks there ripping, and they had, hockey players, Q&As and things like that. They just did a wonderful job, in my opinion, of showcasing hockey cards. And I thought that was great. They did a wonderful job. And obviously, hockey is a small subset of the collection group, but I really thoroughly did think they did a great job. And of course, next door was Topps. I didn't go in there too much, but they had a lot of going on. They did have a cool thing with Fanatics. I didn't get a picture of it, but Fanatics was able to go in there and do some giving away slabs where you lined up. It was all free, but it was a lot of work for a lot of those people to do that. You can see that over there in the Insta Rips. That was really a cool idea that they did. Pristine Auction was there, of course, all the auction houses. That was big this year. Walmart was a huge sponsor. They were giving you brought in a free card, you threw it in there, and you could get one of their prizes, because I guess they're starting to get in the collectibles game too. So, a lot of sponsors, obviously, you need them to really keep this going. This was fun, this courtyard. Kids would shoot, kids, adults, whoever. And if you made it at a certain line, you got to rip an online pack, an online slab, and you got what it was in your account. Now, obviously, a lot of these were just set up so that you did basically sign up on their apps. That's what everybody wanted you to do. And unfortunately, a lot of times you couldn't, which was probably driving a lot of people crazy. Well, and of course, you always have the breakers area. And it's nice, once again, Whatnot was huge. Whatnot was everywhere, but there are also a lot of smaller breakers. But I know, like I talked about, a lot of the older people in the hobby don't really care for the breaker area. It's not my thing, but I saw the kids there. I saw the younger adults. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's breakers row. I mean, just breaker after breaker after breaker. So I don't think they're going away anytime soon. Think what you want of them. That's fine. I get it both ways. But they really engaged the audience. They were giving free packs to kids, and that's what was cool. They weren't worrying about adults. They were worrying about kids, especially in the main stage of Whatnot. I mean, they were engaging them and being fun and joking with them. And I saw that. I can't tell you if every engagement with everybody. Of course, all the freebies, there's a claw machine. Just freebie, freebie, freebie. There's just a chance to get free stuff. But, there was the wall of breakers there, and that was the main stage. And they really, really engaged the kids. So, that's the future of this hobby, is the young kids, like it or not. Maybe they're not your cup of tea, but they will be around, and that's what you got to draw. You can't keep all us old guys around, because we're not going to be here forever. So you have to have that next generation. And they may think differently about cards, and that's just what society is molding them into, And, hopefully you can instill a little bit more of collecting and understanding the collecting, as a hobby as well, and collecting your players and not just collecting for money all the time. And sometimes that may get in the way. Who knows? That's a discussion for another day. But I will say they did a really nice job of keeping all the breakers area together like they did last year. It was really cool to keep that idea of just having the breakers in their own area, and it is the young crowd, the 20-somethings, the, younger 30s. It's not the older guys. And, I didn't stick around very much. Card Collector 2, we all know him. I had to take a picture of him. We all know Ryan, and Card Collector 2 you should be familiar with them on YouTube. Then it just dumped back into the regular card show area, but that was really cool. Now we're upstairs. We talked last year about how upstairs was crazy, and the whole upstairs dilemma. Well, now this year, they filled the whole thing. So you see this concrete area here? That's where it was last year, those 2 rows. But now they were completely full. They probably had another 100, 200 tables up here maybe. But I will tell you, and this right now, what you're looking at, this was the VIP early hour. Yeah, the tables aren't much bigger anymore. The spaces between them. I had gone up earlier, and there's some more breakers up here and some more corporate sponsorships more up this way, and some bigger companies, 130 Point, Veriswap, that, they do some things too, but it was mostly just a lot of more people to, you know, sell cards and stuff. And just, Fanatics was everywhere, obviously. But I will tell you once again, the rows up here were just tiny. You could not get by. And like I said, this is VIP, so you can actually kind of get by, but you could not get by. I had gone up there earlier the day before, like during the main part of the day, and you could not get through. So they do need to do something with that upstairs. They opened it up, but then they just added a bunch more dealers, and I'm sure the demand is great, but there was literally anywhere, and you can kind of see if you get a couple people butted up to each one, you're barely getting through there. So once again, they kind of fixed it, but they didn't really fix it. They just added more. So they need to think about that next year. I'm sure they'll get some complaints about it. As you notice too, if you see that coming up, that international, they had an international pavilion, which was interesting. But unfortunately, when I got there early, there was a lot of the international people weren't open yet, but mostly what I saw was soccer cards, and soccer's a cool, big, and a new opening for, trading cards, but I'm not into them. However, that was what was big with a lot of the European card dealers there, like from Europe and UK and China, and a lot of Pokemon also in that area. Pokemon was big this year, as what I would say as well. But, they tried to open it up differently. They just need to work on a few things to keep it, for the easier to access and look at people's tables. So, they'll just need to work on that for next year, as it always is. More corporate sponsors. Big League Chew now has, I don't know what it was, but I kind of thought it was kind of cool. And, just different companies that cater to kind of the card environment were there as well. It was just, like I said, more of a open area and just bigger. So they need to work on that. Once again, the dealers were cool up here. Enjoyed them. There was a hockey dealer up here that was great. And we really engaged with him because it's kind of cool when you like hockey, and maybe 3% of the whole thing has any kind of major hockey. But as far as cards up here, vintage, not a lot of vintage up here. It seemed like there was more of the newer stuff. And in general, it seemed like the vintage is on the first floor right when you walk in. PSA was here again this year. Once again, it always makes its big presence. And the big thing I think this year was that they were doing, on-site grading, quick turnarounds. But I didn't get any. I mean, to me, the price was astronomical unless you have some kind of crazy fancy card. Then go for it. Oh, but they had their big old setup, and of course they had their setup for network and social media and interviews. But I heard a lot of bad things in the sense that they were running behind and they were cutting things off, and they were basically telling some people that they weren't going to get their cards back at the end of the convention. That's what I saw and heard. That they were so far behind and they had so many people. I would go in there and there would be a line way back. And I think part of that was because what happened, in my opinion, is, they shut down PSA, and then everybody thought they could come here and get their cards graded. And it turned into just a huge headache from what I understand. Let's talk about crowds again. This is early entry. So as you can see, you can actually do stuff. I actually did some dollar boxes and looked through some things because it was actually some real time to look at stuff. But you have to understand it's up to you, obviously, how you go to these shows. And I know it's a little extra, and there's some more vintage, just beautiful vintage at the show. But here it's early, so you see tables that weren't even open yet. But the funny thing, and I need to bring up, is look how nice it is. I mean, you can actually stop and see things. I don't know. I thought I was in heaven those first hour or so, and I didn't stay late, so I don't know if from 5 to 6, it's closed down as much, or if it's not as bad because people are starting to leave and everything. But it was wonderful that particular time of the day to look at it, and I would encourage, if anybody's interested, to do that, or even do early access 5-day. I mean, it's totally up to you. Obviously, it's on your budget, but I this year was thoroughly enjoying it. And here's we'll go to another video where this is like in the middle of the day, and you can see the total difference of the crowds. It was, I was bumping into people. There's 3 people deep on tables, as you can see there. You could not hardly get to a table. There's Gary V. He was at the game last night, I like to say that. But Gary V and his V friends were there. That's his trading cards. But just look at the crowd. It's just amazing how big and long and just how many people were there this year. I don't know the totals, but you can. I'm just trying to get an overview of everything. There were so many people there, and that's the difference, as you can see between going early for that extra hour and then hitting this. It was amazing, and it in the middle of the day, it does get a little frustrating because it's hard to see. Although I will tell you, a lot of vintage tables didn't have a ton of people there. It was the modern stuff with the kids, and there was a lot of Pokemon this year, and just a lot of modern basketball and baseball and everything. I did see a lot of modern football, and there was a share of vintage. I don't know what the breakdown was between 20% this, 30% that, but you could get to the vintage tables and actually look around a little bit, which was funny. But like I said, you can see some of the cards from some of the dealers. It's just, it's interesting. I'm surprised I was able to get to that table. But as you can see, I mean, and this is probably not the most packed it was, but it starts getting more packed. It's just all the people. So it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. It was some of the most enjoyable time just looking at cards. Make sure you got your walking legs on. Whew. I know I was tired at the end of the day, and I've got kind of a bad back, but no, I pushed through it. But like you can see, it was a lot of people at the convention, and I guess you could say once again, the hobby's strong, and I'm not just talking about newer cards. I'm talking about all ages, and there were a lot of women there too. I mean, it wasn't just a lot of males; there was a lot of females there too. Had their own collections. Were out there going, hey, you ready to trade? And there was even one table run by all females, and it was all female cards, basketball, softball. I mean, just different female sports, but it was all trading cards, and it was just females, which I thought was really cool and a really cool idea because this hobby's for everybody. And that's the nice part about it. So you just have to enjoy it and, take the good with the bad. You're not going to like everything, but you're going to like some things. If you go to it, you're going to like it. So yeah, you're just going to see some sights and sounds of the National while I kind of go over what the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's go with the VIP experience first. I would do it again, just for the fact that you can get in early. I know it sounds crazy, but it really is nice. It's peaceful, and you can really go to certain areas that you wanted to look at. But other than that, the VIP lounge, in my opinion, it wasn't big enough. And the VIP lounge was also the trading area, which I think the trading nights and the trading area are a great idea. Wonderful idea. But when you incorporate both those at the same time, and they had trade nights, but there were people doing trading. And I think a lot of this had to do with some of the hotels had closed down trading at the lobbies. Like they had signs at certain hotels saying you cannot hang out in the lobby and trade cards and do that kind of stuff. So that brought everybody to the National and the VIP lounge to do trading, which I think is great. But the problem was it was supposed to be a lounge. You were supposed to go in there and chill, but there was no room. There was no tables. There were only round tables, which that's fine because that's perfect for trading, but not for, chilling out. There just wasn't a lounge. You had to find a corner or a spare chair because not everybody had a hotel across the street. Mine wasn't. Mine was 2 miles away. So I didn't want to keep paying $20. That's just my $20 to park, I should say, because there was no in and out privileges where I parked. But the fact that they needed an area where people could just, as a VIP, I want to go and rest for maybe an hour and look at my cards and just look up prices, because outside the convention center, cell service was a little better, but within the convention area, sometimes it was very spotty. But all in all, I think, they gave you some goodies, a lot of a few packs of cards, a lot of advertisement, and then some supply things, which were cool. There were some innovative supplies that I saw from Ultra, which was like a hybrid team bag slash a top loader kind of thing, which was really cool. I liked those. But other than that, it's not extremely helpful, like I said, with the other stuff, with the lounge and everything like that. But the VIP early access, or even if you get the 5-day early access pass, I might do that because that'll afford me to get in early. And that's all I really need. I didn't use the tickets because the autograph tickets you got were people I don't follow. Some of them I didn't even know. I had to look it up. These were, former Chicago Bear football players that maybe played in Chicago and you don't know them, a defensive lineman, but that was the free one. The free autograph tickets for VIP were nobody really huge. Giovanni Soto of the Cubs, I remember him was really, and Chris Sable were the only two that I really knew from, as a youngster, them playing. And even as an older, Giovanni's not that old. So, but those were, the rest of them were not very good. So if you're going there to get the free, VIP autograph tickets, they're not anything that they're supposed to be, in my opinion. The corporate side, there was a lot of corporate there, and they were pretty cool. The people that worked with those groups were very engaging, and you have to have a corporate sponsorship or you're not going to get anywhere, to be honest. You're not going to get any kind of convention like this off the floor. Whether you like that or not, that's a totally different area, but it will be a part of every national. It's a part of every kind of convention. They were very engaging with the people. I will give them that. They were very engaging with the young kids. Obviously you had to sign up for every app. You had to follow everybody to get a t-shirt, but heck, I got to buy 3 or 4 t-shirts, it's like, oh, cool. Follow them. And then that's it. Tops, he was giving away free stuff in their Fanatics. They had a Fanatics rip, like I talked about. They were giving away the national cards this year, and I didn't quite understand. You didn't buy something this year and then, bring it in, they cut the plastic and give you cards. It was more like a virtual line, and you had to get into that virtual line in the morning, and then by 3:00 that day, they would have sent you an email letting you know that, hey, you won some cards, go pick them up. But I saw people buying those box of cards for like $300. Like some dealers were buying them for that much. I didn't mess with it. I was there to do the card show. So I didn't really mess with that too much. But other people, eBay, Card Mover, Tops, V Friends, Battle, Bo Jackson's Battle Arena was really big. That had a huge line every day. And there's Arena, Pack Slab. The big thing now is ripping online, you get a slab. And that was neat too. You could go in, you had to sign up for the app, get in a line, but you could go in, rip a free pack. And get a free slab. And a lot of them, they give you the slab right there. They don't do that now when you're gone, when you've left and keep doing the digital ripping. But they were giving the slabs right out there. So there was a lot of giveaways and a lot of a good stuff. I like that. I can't really speak to all of the corporate sponsors, but more, they were there and they were engaging and a lot of free stuff. So that was kind of the cool stuff. The dealers, I said earlier, were wonderful. The prices were, in my opinion, on average, were high, but if you dug, you could find some deals. The 4 cards I got, which I'll show later, I did get a good deal, I think, personally. It ran right about eBay prompts. Of course, there were a lot of dealers still that didn't have prices on anything, which bugs me, but what are you going to do? You can't really say much, and I'm not going to argue with them about that, but that's their prerogative. So I'm not going to complain to them. They want to do that, but a lot of people, if they don't have prices on their stuff, I will skip that table unless I see a card I absolutely have to have. But I really think that's a big thing that dealers need to do, because I don't want to sit there and go, hey, how much is this? I don't know. Let me go look it up on eBay. And I realize they have a huge inventory, but guess what? You just have to do it. That's part of being a dealer, is having prices there. And I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that and say, you know what, you're going to come with me at your eBay value that you think you should pay as a buyer. So sometimes you even negate what the seller has on his sticker. But the dealers were great as far as personable, and they were always there to talk to you, standing up. Hey, what are you looking at? Can I help you with something? What do you need? What are you looking for? And I was looking for some cards, and they'd even go back and go, hold on, because I was looking for some players that probably, you're not going to find. You're not going to find them sitting out. They're not the big guys. They're not the Shoheis. And that's another thing. Shohei Ohtani was the card of the National, in my opinion. Everybody had one display case guaranteed and dedicated to Shohei Ohtani. And that was kind of interesting. Another thing was, and this is just, I'm just pointing out things that I noticed there and everything, but bring your snacks. And that's what I did because to me, the food choice was not the greatest. I will say it was better. There were a few actual options. Like it was some, like I didn't eat it, but there was some like, pulled pork mac and cheese. And there was something called, I should have got one, but I didn't, but there was something there called, oh gosh, what was it? It was called, oh yeah, it was a Chicago style egg roll. And I was like, that's interesting. But they were few and far between. And we all know there's not a ton of restaurants right there. So you kind of, there's a restaurant area kind of over by on the other side of some of the hotels. But as far as the snacks inside, yeah, I wasn't feeling it. And they were ballpark prices, $15, $16 for a little bowl of mac and cheese with some pulled pork. But my advice to you is just bring snacks. I brought some, trail mix and some beef jerky and some waters. And I was fine for the day and just would go have dinner after I left for the day. But that was kind of the food aspect of it, if you want to call it. And like I talked about earlier, PSA was there. All the grading companies were there. All the great. I didn't, like I said, I heard the thing about PSA, and literally every morning people would rush in there and get in line for the grading companies. It was amazing. And I'm talking about CGC, SGC, although I didn't see a huge line at SGC or CGC, meaning towards the middle of the day. But PSA always had a huge line until they actually cut it off, I believe, at one point and said they couldn't do it. So, yeah, I mean, all in all, I really enjoyed myself. I enjoyed going to it. I enjoyed being a part of it. And I will do it again. I'll go next year because it's in Chicago. It's close for me. It's maybe a 5-hour drive from my place. And I don't mind the drive. It was just a lot of fun. I got to go with my brother this year, which was great because he really enjoyed it. And it was just great bringing somebody new to the hobby. I mean, he's in the hobby, but bringing him new to this. And he told me the first couple hours, he was in awe. He didn't even look at tables. He was just looking at everything. And I was like, yep, that was me last year. So I'll be doing it again. And, everything's going to have its goods and it's going to have its complaints. It's going to have its ups and downs. That's just part of everything. That's the part of just the way the world works. And this year was like last year, and I enjoyed both years, and I'll be back again in 2027. So yeah, I'll quickly go over my pickups. I actually went this year with a plan of about 6 cards I wanted, and I was able to pick up 4 of those. So it was a good haul, and I thought I got some good deals, to be honest with you. The first one was a 1984 Don Mattingly Fleer rookie. I'm a big Don Mattingly fan. That's who I grew up with in the 80s. Loved watching him. So I wanted to collect his rookie, his 3 rookie cards. I already had his Donruss. I got his Fleer. And also, as you can see, I got his Topps 1984. And I didn't need perfect copies because they're for my collection. So I got 9s on both of them. So, I got the Topps and I got the Fleer. So that completes my Don Mattingly rookie, at least for the 3 main card companies of 1984. Believe it or not, another one, the third one I got was I was looking for a 1975 Topps of George Brett. And I found one, and, it was very nice. Oh my goodness. I couldn't believe the price was pretty good. I got a little bit off of it. It was right in the range of eBay, but it was a 6, a PSA 6. It was a really, really sharp looking card. Little off center, but not terrible. And just for that, 75's got that crazy color pattern and that color palette. So I was nervous, but it really looked well and nice. So I went ahead and got that, and it was a good deal for me, and I was able to find one. Not a lot. There was some, but it took a lot of searching for these cards to find these Don Mattinglys and the George Brett. But I was able to dig, over the 2.5, 3 days that I was there, and I did find a really nice copy of the George Brett. Last, one of the other big cards I got was a 1957 Topps Roberto Clemente. This card is beautiful. I know it's a 2, I get it, but it's really nicely centered. I love, the corners decent, not horrible. I think it's a beautiful looking too. And you know what? If you notice, three of my slabs were SGC. And if you're collecting because you want to collect, I like them slabbed up. But like this two was probably $80 cheaper than a PSA two, or even close to 100, maybe. I'm not sure. Um, but that was such a cool card to find, and I love that card, and I'm adding them to my collection. And I guess now that the National's over, I'm going to start figuring out what I need for 2027. And I will tell you this, it's really cool to go in with a plan of cards you want because it is like a treasure hunt. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Take care, and we'll see you next year in 2027.